Donald Trump's campaign is imploding. And it is most likely because of the Access Hollywood secret tapes that were released and the fallout. So for those of you who aren't up to speed on this because you were living under a rock or something, Trump was caught on a hot mic saying he kisses women unprovoked and he grabs them by the pussy. And I think the most important phrase in that tape actually was, quote, "I don't even wait." Because that's the admission that, okay, what are you not waiting for? What do you mean you don't wait? Quote, "I don't even wait." What does that mean? Well, you know what it means. It means I don't even wait for consent. And this is what he was saying. Oh, yeah, I must have some Tic Tacs. I have to have some Tic Tacs because sometimes I just start kissing beautiful women. It's like a magnet, you know. I don't even wait. You let you do whatever when you're a star. I grab their pussy. Now, it sounded like best case scenario in the tapes. He's talking about a massive gray area of consent. But more likely with that line, quote, "I don't even wait," it sounded like he said, yeah, I skipped the consent part and I just do it. And look, I don't deny that in his mind, he might think, well, maybe they want it because I am a star. I don't know. I'm being as fair as humanly possible. But then you had multiple accusations after the fact where the women are in essence saying, yes, he did exactly what he says he does. So I'm agreeing with Donald Trump on that bus when he thought nobody was listening, when he said, I don't even wait, and sometimes I just kiss them, and sometimes I grab their pussy. So that's what many of the literal accusations are. So let me give you the details here. Kathy Heller is one of them. In 1997, she says that he kissed her without consent. Summer Zervos in 2007, same thing. Plus, also touched himself in front of her unprovoked, and he was doing this all to hang a job over her head. Kristen Anderson in the early 90s claims that Trump touched her vagina at a club. Natasha Stoynoff, who worked for People magazine and wrote about Donald Trump and wrote about various stars, she was over his place for the 1-year anniversary to Melania. So they did this piece on, Trump's been with Melania for a year, and during that, Melania steps away to go change for a different photo shoot, and he says, I gotta show you around here. I gotta show you this tremendous room we have. They go into the room. He pushes her against the wall, starts kissing her, says, you know we're gonna have an affair, right? You know we're gonna have an affair, right? And later on, she doesn't say anything about it. She's shocked by it. She feels violated. Doesn't come out and say anything about it. Years later, after this tape is released, and then Trump denies it at the debate, she's like, okay, I can't be quiet about this anymore. And she comes out and says it. Now, by the way, some people ask, well, why? I don't understand. Why are they all coming out now? Look, do I agree that, if indeed they felt like this was sexual assault and they were violated, that they should have went to the police and they should have done it earlier on? Of course. But do I get why they didn't do it? Dude, who are you kidding? This is somebody who is, in their eyes, a very, very rich, very, very powerful man. Most likely you bring something up like this, you're going to get yeah, really? That's what happened? Okay. You're going to get that kind of response. You're going to, a lot of them, and she said this, she said, I feared retribution. I feared revenge. And Donald Trump has shown he's capable of those things. So she says, if I went and said something, well, then I could get fired and he might ruin my career. And I don't know what to do. And a lot of them, you see this pattern of they're not sure if they want to blame themselves or not. They feel violated, but they don't, hey, did I put myself in the wrong position? Did this happen? Did that happen? And they're struggling with blaming themselves. So it's a real complex thing where they overwhelmed with this rush of emotions as a result of what happened to them. So, is that grounds to dismiss what they're saying? That, hey, man, why didn't you go at the beginning? So now I don't believe you. No, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. You'd have to prove in a court of law if he were to, be found guilty and face some sort of consequences. That would have to be proven in a court of law. Of course, it's innocent until proven guilty, and it should be. But in terms of, the facts of the case, is it believable? In other words, do I think all these women are making it up? No, I don't. That doesn't mean that every accusation against every man ever is true. Of course not. But doesn't mean that in this case, it appears overwhelming. And most importantly, it's women saying, yes, he did to me exactly what he says he does on those tapes. So Trump says, yeah, sometimes I kiss them. I grab their pussy. I don't even wait. And then women come out and say, yeah, he actually kissed me totally unprovoked. There was no consent. Or, hey, he grabbed my pussy. There was no consent. And then people are going, liars. He says he did it. And then they're saying, yeah, that's actually exactly what he did. And they're like, well, I can't believe you're lying about him. Is it really that hard to believe? Seriously? Seriously? Okay, so I'm still not done. So that's just a few of the accusations. Jessica Leeds is another one. She claims she was groped on a plane by Donald Trump. Rachel Crooks in 2005, kissed without consent. Mindy McGillivray in 2003, Trump grabbed her ass at Mar-a-Lago. One of Erin Burnett's friends, she spoke about this on air, said that Trump did exactly what he said in the video. He kissed her without consent. And she was like, what just happened? Did Donald Trump just kiss me on the lips? What's happening here? Then there are multiple allegations from women in the Miss USA pageant of him groping them and repeatedly walking in on them when they're getting dressed. So that's something that he did with impunity. He would walk around, he obviously was involved with the Miss USA pageant. He would just walk into the changing room when he knows they're changing. And he would start talking to them. And they're like, what the But he tried to make it seem like, no, it's totally normal. It's totally normal. And you know what that reminds me of? I actually have a story. I knew somebody from when I used to work in the car business a while back. I knew somebody who he went to Catholic school, back in the day, back in like the 70s. And he described how they had a pool at the school and they would do, for gym sometimes they would go swimming. The priest would tell them, all right, boys, time to go swimming. Get naked. All the little kids would be naked running around in the pool. And you'd have the creepy, pervert priests who are sexual predators just looking at the kids naked. So, in other words, it was built into the system. They were like, no, they tried to make it seem normal. That's the trick. The trick is, what do you mean? What are you talking about? This is just what we do when we swim. Everybody swims naked. I don't know what are you talking about. There's nothing wrong here. This is just how we choose to do it. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just what we do. That's what Donald Trump was doing. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, just walking on the girls when they're changing and I talk to them. What are you talking about? It's normal. Oh, you think I'm doing this because I'm a pervert? I'm not doing this because I'm a pervert. It's totally normal. I don't know what you mean. This is being a sexual predator 101, man. Okay, Jill Harth in 1993 says he attempted to rape her. Now, guys, I went through all of the accusations. There appears to be about 11 accusations now. Some of them I don't think are credible. Some of them I said, okay, that's a little strange. It's an example of somebody claiming sexual assault, and then later on they went on to date him consensually. Okay, call me crazy, and many people will say, oh, you're wrong, and you can't assume about this one. No, that is a piece of evidence to me that perhaps it was consensual, if indeed you later went on to say it's totally consensual, I'm going to date you. What, after he assaulted you? So some of them I don't believe. Let me be clear about that. I just don't. Do I think all of these are, oh no, every single one of them is lying, every single one of them, is in on it to get something out of it? I mean, for many of them, there's absolutely nothing to gain from it. And again, they're just saying, yeah, he did what he says he does. So, this hurts. Now, by the way, even if you are in the camp of, I think it's all bullshit, and there are people who still believe that, okay, it's affecting him in the polls. So now, after all this flows out, Hillary opened up a 5.5-point lead in the average of polls. There was one poll that had her up, I think, 11 points. That's strong. So now you're talking big numbers. 5.5 on average. And then if the election was today, according to Nate Silver of 538, now sometimes I agree with Nate Silver. Everybody knows sometimes I vehemently disagree with Nate Silver. I do think his predictions have been too strong. Like there was back a while ago when the general election just started and we had so much time until the election that he had Hillary at like an 86% chance to win. There was the polling did not indicate that, and it was way too early to tell, and he didn't factor in the trends of how the campaigns are going and stuff like that, because you can't really quantitatively break that down. But either way, I said that's ridiculous, that number's not real, that's, I can't believe anybody would believe that. So I've had vehement disagreements with him. But now, if you go to what he calls his nowcast, which is what would happen if the election was held today, it's an 88.3% chance that Hillary Clinton wins. Now, again, is that a little too strong even for me? Yeah, I would say maybe it's 73%, 74% or thereabouts, just pulling a number out of my ass. I'm not as strong as he is on that. But that's still a gigantic percentage that if the election was today, Hillary would win. The polls only forecast he has 86.3%. So that's just if you go by the polls. What are the chances Hillary's going to win? 86.3. Then the polls plus, which factors in some other factors, 82.7% chance. So according to him, the worst case scenario, 82.7% chance Hillary Clinton wins. The recent polls have her opening up a bigger lead. Most importantly, when you look at the electoral map, it's in very important key swing states that he's lost a tremendous amount of support. Why? Because it turns out that, you know, when somebody is basically, it leaks that they may be a serial sexual assaulter, people kind of say, okay, you know what, done with it. Can't go that far. I find it a little ridiculous that people couldn't come to that conclusion earlier, not based on sexual assault, but based on, I don't know, him saying, I want to take out the families of terrorists. I want to kill civilians on purpose. I want to bring back torture. I want to bring back worse than waterboarding. I want to pull out of the Geneva Conventions. I want to lower wages. I want to make a deal on our debt, aka make the U.S. insolvent and cause a worldwide depression. The list goes on and on of all the things that I thought were like, okay, he went too far there. That's it. He's done. They didn't care as much about that as they should have, but now they care about this. So it's a little weird. It's a little strange that this is the one that got the most attention and the other ones didn't tank him. But it appears like this is close to tanking him. And it's very close. He's running out of time. That's the bottom line. He's running out of time. The election is soon. So, is it time to say stick a fork in him, he's done? No. But it's getting there. Donald Trump is on the ropes. This election is very, very close to over. Now, I'm the guy who maintained from the beginning, look for the yo-yo effect, because every time Hillary pulled up a lot, I was the one who said, whoa, pump your brakes. I bet Trump makes a comeback. I bet he evens it out again. And every time I said that, he did that. What am I saying now? I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying it's overwhelmingly likely Hillary's going to win, and I'm close to saying the election is over. The election is over because there's some things that apparently you just can't bounce back from. Now, there are still Podesta emails leaking about Hillary Clinton, and it's showing how the sausage is made with the DNC. And unlike many mainstream reporters, I'm actually reporting on it. And I do think there are many bombshells in there. But it turns out that people just they're not as swayed by that shit. Like, for example, Hillary admitted, my preferred Syria policy of the no-fly zone and the safe zone kills massive numbers of Syrian civilians. She said that in 2013. That was in the leaked emails. That gets almost no coverage whatsoever. I think we're the only people that covered it. That's a big story. Hey, the policy I want massacres civilians. Nobody's fucking talking about that. That's big. But it's not having the effect that, you would expect, or that in a reasonable world we would expect. So it's almost like even with big leaks coming out, there's less damage to her. There's more damage to him because this kind of a scandal is the kind of scandal that pierces through the minds and the imagination of the American people, where it's about sex so they can easily get it. It's about him being an assaulter so they get it even more. It's got a personal angle to it, so it lands even more so than policy stuff, which again, maybe it shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. So the election is very close to over as a result of this. And we're coming to the conclusion of the most wild and intense and insane election ever.